Meant to show the Tello controller, the ESP32 controller, actually communicating with the Tello. So right now in the quick camera view, you're seeing the controller, but it's running the gesture tester program. And now I want to run the actual software to allow it to control the Tello. So that's the program called Tello-in your hand, which is available on the GitHub site. So I'm now going to push this program over to the controller that you see in the camera view. And we're compiling this sketch first. And we're waiting for the compilation to proceed. And again, this program is available on the GitHub project page for the ESP32 controller. And now we're pushing the controller software over to the ESP32. It takes a little bit of time to get moving because all of flash memory is being erased by the loader of the software from the Arduino IDE. Now we're writing that software off to the controller, and then once this is complete, we'll be able to see what the serial monitor is reporting, if anything, about the software. So in fact, this is a good place to see this, because when I didn't do anything, it rebooted the ESP32, and then there's a message in the bottom here about spiffs mount failed. And that's because the Tello controller software actually uses a file system on the ESP32 memory called spiffs. And because we erased flash, that is no longer there. So what I'm going to do now, I did wait, and then it refreshed the controller. And so now it looks like I'm getting the proper messaging. So let's restart the controller by pressing the reset button on the ESP32. It should give us the same startup, but then we won't see the spiffs failure. We're just going to see calculating offsets. MPU 6050 is the accelerometer MPU device. And then now, since I don't have a Tello bound, it's giving me the information that I ought to be able to see a wireless network whose name is manage Tello at the web address 192.168.4.1. So I'm going to bring the Tello that I have off to the side and just briefly show it to you under the camera. I can't keep both of these things in view. So I'm going to plug the battery in to the Tello, and then I'm going to use the start button on the side of the Tello to get it beginning. So if you can see this here, you see the LED in the front nose of the Tello flashing its startup sequence. So that's what we want. And I'm going to put the Tello off to the side. And now it says that the portal, because I waited so long, the portal kind of timed out. So I can start this process off again just by resetting the Tello. So the controller. You can reset the controller to kind of get it into this initial state. Now the Tello is on, and then manage Tello is the access point we want to use. And that's going to appear as one of our wireless hotspots. So manage Tello is appearing up here under my Mac's Wi-Fi. I'm hitting manage Tello, and then that should bring up what's known as a captive portal page that shows me the interface for manage Tello. And what I want to do here is I want to configure the Wi-Fi. So the Wi-Fi gives me a list of hotspots or SIDs in my local environment here, including one that obviously is a Tello, the one that I just started up. So I'm going to click that address, and as you know, Tellos don't have a password by default, and I haven't changed that situation. And now I'm going to save those credentials to the controller, and the captive portal disappears. And then now we're seeing messages in the serial monitor, and then we're also seeing that there's a successful connect. Now, once you've done this manage Tello starter process and bound the Tello to the controller will remember the last Tello it was bound to. So there's no reason that you need to go through the access point to rebind the Tello to the controller. And over here in the camera setting, we see that the last command that the Tello received from the controller was the command for the battery level. and the response was that the battery is pretty low, is 46%. And in fact, you see that the middle battery LED light is on. That's indicating that the battery charge is in the medium range, not the high end, not fully charged, which would be green, or not getting very low, which would be red. And then green indicates in these LEDs that the Tello is actually connected. So I just want to show that you can send commands to the Tello from the serial monitor. So for example, I can resend the battery command. It's battery question mark. I type that into the serial monitor and hit return, and then you see that the message was appended and that the battery level is 43%, and that's still what's showing on the OLED display. Another command that you can run is ask for the current temperature of the processor in the Tello, temp question mark. And then now, because I've been running this for a while, the Tello's pretty warm. It's 53 to 55 degrees centigrade based on what the CPU of the Tello is actually telling us. And then the other thing I want to do before I end this little startup video, this is kind of the shakedown of the Tello itself. I don't want to take it off or anything, but I want to show that we're actually connected to the Tello. And one of the commands that the Tello EDU model, which is the one that I'm working with here, responds to is the command motor on, MOTORON, motor on without a question mark. And then you see the OK response, and the Tello propellers are actually spinning. I don't think I can show you this on the camera, but the propellers are actually spinning now as I show it underneath. And then if I push the Tello, set the Tello down, I can run the command motor off. So motor, but then OFF. And then the motor off is responded to. And now if I bring the Tello under the camera, you can see that the props are no longer moving. Again, you can see the still props inside of the propeller guards. So I'm going to end this segment now. This kind of is the shakedown that shows that we are actually getting the controller and the Tello to be communicating with one another. And then the next phase is to actually show with a camera view that the controller can actually operate the Tello and make it do active things, flight related things like taking off and landing and those sorts of things. So let's make this one be the end, and then we'll do a new one shortly.